Say that one more time because it's that important. I want you to say that one more time about a bad lead in terms of how to turn it into a positive experience. Say it one more time, please.
Yeah, it's super important. Like if you get, not to get frustrated with bad leads, because every lead you get is more practice, and you can make mistakes. So you don't always even know if they're a bad lead right when you get them, but you might, after talking to them once or twice, realize like this is never going to be a deal, but it's good experience.
I wish more people had that attitude, to be honest with you. I wish more people, because that is the perfect attitude. Meaning, yeah, not every lead's going to be a slam dunk perfect lead, but at the very least, what it does is, who gives, okay, it's a bad lead, but it practices your social skills. It practices your pitch, and it's even better if you do it on a bad lead, because if you screw up, who gives a shit? It's not a lead. You know what I mean? It's not going to go anywhere anyway.
Exactly.
I'm so glad you said that. If anything, the takeaway is mindset. You got to have the mindset. You got to have the positive attitude. You work your ass off, but eventually you will start getting the ball rolling. And look at, now we can get gimmicky, right? Look at, you're in the mountains, you're in Colombia, you know what I mean? You're enjoying this business. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words: hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we explore the daily lives of CCTG graduates, employees, and everybody else in between, to get a kind of feature on who we are, what we're about, and the people that we serve. Before we begin this exciting episode, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click on that button, subscribe to it. This way you'll get the latest features of content, future podcasts that we produce on a monthly basis. And also, if you want to watch it right from your phone, don't forget to download our CCTG app go to the Android store or iPhone store, the App Store, and you could download our app so you could see features as they come out immediately. So without further ado, I'm very excited to interview one of our graduates from February 2021. So I'm proud to introduce Jeremy Hyman of Monteverde Commercial Capital. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Kris. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for agreeing to do this, as always. I'm excited to kind of explore how your business is doing. First question I got to ask is, that is a beautiful background. What's going on there in the background?
Yeah, I get a lot of nice compliments from clients when I always leave this background for all my Zoom meetings. But it's a good icebreaker, because along with it being, a nice picturesque green mountain and kind of a nice sunny day, the Green Mountains is actually the name of the company, is Monteverde, which translates to Green Mountain, which there's a meaning behind the name, but it's kind of a good icebreaker behind, getting into talking business when talking about the Green Mountains and kind of how it relates to my business name. But yeah, I get a lot of great compliments on that all the time.
Well, you know what? And it's a good icebreaker. Is there a meaning behind it? Like, did you grow up in the Green Mountains? I don't know. Is there?
So the meaning Monteverde, the Green Mountain, is my grandfather came up with that name back in the 80s for a fantasy baseball team that my family's been a part of. His favorite baseball player was Hank Greenberg, and Greenberg translates to Monteverde. So he came up with that name Monteverde after his favorite baseball player. And I just thought, green and money, and now I have a finance company. Why not take that name and turn it into Monteverde Commercial Capital? So that's kind of how the name started.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. So take me through your journey. So you attended here a virtual class, I take it, February 2021, right? And I see here you were a gold package graduate with enhanced. I believe that you purchased that package. But before we get into training and stuff, what did you do prior to CCTG? What led you to come here?
Yeah, so my background and my path here was kind of unusual. I didn't come from finance or have any kind of background doing anything like this. I used to work in the NBA, in the sports and entertainment industry. So out of college, I worked for the Washington Wizards and Mystics down in Washington, D.C. And I did all their digital content. So I did all the web and social media and kind of
Wow.
all the front end content. A lot of, fun job. I got to travel everywhere with the NBA, with all the players and do the interviews and kind of do all the fun front end content stuff with all the guys, which was a really great experience and great job. And I then left there in 2018. I then traveled around the world for a year, and this was just before COVID. So I got to do a full year of travel where I was traveling and blogging about my life as a type 1 diabetic and what it's like to travel as a diabetic.
Wow.
I went to about 35 countries around the world. So that brought me to the end of 2019. And then I was going to jump back and do something back in the sports field. And then COVID kind of changed my plans a bit in 2020 when I was looking for kind of what I was going to do next career-wise. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to find something where I could do something remote, maybe start my own business and do my own thing. And then I, found CCTG probably late 2020. My dad actually introduced me to what this was and how this worked. I think he found the website online somewhere. And I did, a couple of months of research on CCTG, talked to a lot of people. I contacted, your team and kind of got in touch. And that was, late 2020, early 21. And then, got going in February 21 once I felt comfortable enough with it and thought it would be a good opportunity to start my own thing and have my own business. And, from there, it's been about a year now, or about almost exactly a year from doing the training.
Yeah. So you used to work for Michael Jordan then, right?
Oh no, Michael actually, he now owns Charlotte, the Hornets. So he used to play for the Wizards at the end of his career, and he was like a part owner with the Wizards.
Right.
And he left way before I got there.
Gotcha. All right. Good deal. Well, that sounds like an exciting career prior to this. So you found us, you went through the virtual aspect of the training. What'd you think of the initial week, the virtual week?
Yeah, it was great. I heard so much about it, like going into it. So I had some idea just from like watching these podcasts and, talking to some of the previous grads. So I had some idea what it was going to be like, but until you actually do it, like I didn't know anything about, how this, commercial loan brokering really worked or what the actual day-to-day was going to be like. But it's really, I like how it's broken up into like, learning in the morning and, getting all the information, and then you get to meet all the lenders, in the afternoons. And I think it's a great kind of mix of, of learning new information and getting to actually meet some of the people that you're going to be, you need to work with to get some of these deals closed. So I enjoy that.
And were you a little apprehensive because you didn't really have any finance experience coming into this? So you're completely diving into a whole new world. Yeah,
it's completely that was definitely a new part of it, and a part where when I was like getting started, I had questions for Mike and for for the team, that like, how am I just going to jump into this and start doing this? I don't know anything about this industry. Like I didn't come from banking. I don't know, I don't do finance, but so there was definitely a bit of hesitation to like, could I really do this? And is this possible to really, launch my own business? And, but yeah, I think that was an initial kind of fear to overcome.
Right. And that's where I'm going to really focus on next, because I think, I think you have a lot of people come in here with no experience, right? It's about 50-50. 50% of people have some type of experience. The other 50% don't. So, and I say this because the last couple of podcasts, we've had people that had some level of experience or something related to finance. But this I want to focus on because you didn't have any experience. So tell me about someone that didn't have any experience, what that first couple of months was like after you left training, I mean,
that's probably, I think that's probably the hardest part, is that you're getting, I mean, you get a great week of training, but it's a week of training. Like, it probably takes years and years of actually doing this over and over to become really good at this. But coming out of class and having, you're still so fresh and not knowing how all the products work and, which lenders do what. I mean, there's so much that comes out of it that the first few months, and I didn't have a ton of sales experience. So like just answering phones and talking to clients. And I mean, I feel like I can have a conversation and like, that part I could do, but actually, knowing what you're talking about and not sounding like like you're just completely out of it or just have no idea what you're talking about. That's probably the toughest part for those first few months, is that you want to sound professional and sound good, and sound like you're knowledgeable, but you're also, you want to use the CCTG, Mac and John and the team there to help.
But you bring up a good point, because there's a lot of graduates that don't have, the sales experience. They don't have the phone. And we talk about how to kind of do that in class, but still it's different. Sometimes there's a disconnect between, you could talk about it and learn it, but then actually doing it, right? It's like basketball. You can talk about the fundamentals, but actually going out there and doing it is completely different. So how did you overcome those hurdles, being that you weren't really an experienced salesperson, but now all of a sudden you found yourself in a job where you got to go and just talk to people? And oftentimes I say, you get better by experience, right? It's just like basketball. You got to practice. You got to practice. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Is that how your journey was first couple of months?
Yeah, completely. I mean, and you guys talked about it in class, and I knew that coming in, like, and I'm not like a super, extroverted person where I can just jump into these, networking meetings and just go talk to everybody. That's not really my personality. Right. So that part was like overcoming a big obstacle and, getting out of my comfort zone but you have to do it. I mean, if you don't do it, like, you can't get better. You're never gonna be able to do this if you don't, pick up the phone and call, every lead that you get.
Right.
Like, even the bad, like, you're gonna get, we'll go into this, but you get a lot of like not so great leads that come in just from everywhere. But when you're new, like a bad lead, it's okay to, like, you can mess up on a bad lead, or maybe you make a mistake.
Say that one more time, because it's that important. I want you to say that one more time about a bad lead, in terms of how to turn it into a positive experience. Say it one more time, please.
Yeah, it's super important. Like, if you get, not to get frustrated with bad leads, because every lead you get is more practice, and you can make mistakes. So you don't always even know if they're a bad lead right when you get them, but you might, after talking to them once or twice, realize, like, this is never going to be a deal. But it's good experience, and you can, some people I talked to for a long time, and it was, at the beginning, like, I'm not swarmed with, I'm not overloaded with, with too many things, leads coming in. So I took all of them, and I would use all that as experience to just get better at, doing my pitch and going over my products and going over everything. So that by the time you get a good lead, you feel more comfortable.
I wish more people had that attitude, to be honest with you. I wish more people, because that is the perfect attitude. Meaning, not every lead's going to be a slam dunk perfect lead, but at the very least, what it does is, who gives, okay, it's a bad lead, but it practices your social skills. It practices your pitch, and it's even better if you do it on a bad lead, because if you screw up, who gives a shit? It's not a lead. You know what I mean? It's not going to go anywhere anyway. Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. That's that is hearing that on your own, that you have that mindset is huge, absolutely huge. So, all right. So your first couple of months, you're learning, tell me about your first deal that you closed, because that's always an exciting one. That's kind of like you break the barrier and you're like, okay, this is real. I could actually do this. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So it's like that part, coming out of it, I had no idea how long it was going to take to actually, there were some deals, like, early on, the first month or two, there was a couple of things I was working on. It had a chance, but just it didn't work out. So it took me a few months before closing. I forget exactly how long, maybe 5 months or so. after training. It was sometime over the summer when I started, closing my first few deals. And that first one, the first real deal, which was like like a cash out refinance, I say real deal because I had some other smaller deals with like getting them into like the unsecured lines of credit program, which is a little bit different. It's not completely like a loan, but it's but the first real deal, which was like the cash out refinance, it took months to finally get it to close. It almost fell apart at the closing table because there was an issue with insurance, and that caused the rate to go up. And then I had to, try to talk the client down and make sure that it just got a little bit hectic at the closing table. I had to make, calls with the client, calls with the lender, and we finally, we saved it from completely blowing up, which, would have been months of work and time that luckily we got that one saved. And that was finally, I want to say maybe around August or September that closed.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, here you are, you started, well, you really probably launched, you came through February, but you probably launched what, March, April? Officially?
Yeah. My marketing stuff launched, I think in May of 21. So that was, yeah. So that was really when things got going, was May.
All right. And so then you closed your first deal. What'd you say, in what month?
I think it was in August or so.
Okay. All right. And, so, and now, talk to me about, you've closed some deals after that. You kind of got the ball rolling a little bit, which is a good thing. You got some momentum now, right?
Yeah. So once you finally get a deal closed and you feel like you can actually do it, you just naturally build more confidence that way and know like, okay, like this is possible. I can do this. It's not like, it's not impossible. It's not like it's some, crazy thing. So
right.
Yeah, so then I kind of have focused a lot of my time and effort and marketing and networking into that real estate. A lot of that 1 to 4 family or 5+ space of the fix and flip investors, the buy and hold investors. A lot of people that are doing this kind of as a secondary income or passive income, that are kind of looking for either to scale their business or to do more of these types of get more properties under their belt. So that's kind of an area I've focused a lot of my time on. And now I'm starting to do more of those, regularly and talking to more of those prospects and clients.
Yeah.
To get more of these purchases, cash outs done. And these aren't huge. You're not getting, 5 and 6 figure huge commission checks
Sure.
for these types of deals. You just have to do volume with these. So that's kind of an area that I've tried to focus on. And one of the mentors and past grads, Tim Maloney, kind of specialized in doing this. Not that I've like copied his exact plan, but like hearing how he's done that and talked about doing this in large volume and really focusing, that was kind of one part that I've tried to, hone in on, doing something similar to kind of what he's doing.
Good. Yeah, no, that's oftentimes what happens. Graduates kind of fall into and we always say to focus on one aspect or one part of the model, right? Even though you could have the ability to do everything. So it sounds like you're doing that. You got a lot of good momentum going into 2022, and congratulations. That's, it's exciting. And I love, that's why we do these things, right? Because, and I tell you, maybe you don't know, but not only do people looking to come to CCTG watch this and, to kind of get an in-depth what life is like, but also existing graduates are on our YouTube channel and they like to see what other people are doing. And I love, this is the real deal. You got to work hard at it. We're not one of these other places out there that claim, oh, you're going to make $1 gazillion in a couple of weeks. It's hard work, especially from someone that didn't have any experience. You grinded, you got the mindset, and now you're starting to roll. That's what it's all about,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I would echo that like times 10 about, and telling, people that are thinking about this or maybe watching this and thinking about what this is really like. And that's
Right.
why I was so happy, I'm glad you brought me on, because I'm not like this like huge success story. I'm not making millions of dollars doing this yet. I mean, it's been 1 year. And the
Right.
first year, especially if you're coming into this new, I mean, it's really, really tough. It's like the grind is really, really, really tough of trying to find clients and get deal flow, and like the amount of networking and people you have to get in front of is, I mean, it's constant, and you have to do it every day and just keep at it like on and on and on.
Right.
And then, yeah, you'll start to see some results from it, but it is not something where you just, pay your, fee for CCTG and sign up and just kind of sit and wait for these leads to come in at any level.
Right. Yeah. And especially, I mean, it is what it is. You got the gold package, which a lot of people do,
Yeah.
but you got to generate opportunities because, you get leads for 1 month and that's fine. After that, you got to get opportunities. But I'm glad you said that, because that's the realness of this industry, right? Where I'm not going to name names, but there's some other, so-called training companies that will have you believe that, oh, you come through here and all of a sudden money's just going to show up in your bank account after 30 days by not doing very little effort. You got to work like anything. You have to work, but you got to go through, you got to have the guts and you got to go through the grit to get the glory, and it takes time to do that. So once in a while we'll have flukes here and there, but you have a great exemplify that process, I think, which is, I appreciate you sharing that. So tell me, do you work from home? Do you have an office? How's that situation? How did you set it? What's your current situation? Because a lot of times people like to know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the great part about this job is that it is, especially now, it's really remote. Like my job is, I do almost everything remote. I should say that with a caveat. So I do work from home. I'm outside of Boston in Massachusetts.
Okay.
That's my home office. I mean, that's where I work. That's my base.
Yeah.
But I travel a lot and I do work remotely a lot. And I'm actually I've been working for the winter months. I'm down in South America in Colombia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I came, once I figured out, like I got my rhythm and how everything worked. And once I realized that, and I knew, I could take, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to come down and, get out of the freezing temperatures of like Boston and Albany. I was like, why not come down here? I do, everything virtual and remote right now. All my networking meetings, all my client meetings everything's pretty much remote. So I was like, this is what a good opportunity to come down and work from here.
You're living a dream. I wish I was in Colombia doing this podcast right now.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's nice. So I wanted to say that with a caveat, just because like over the summer, like when I came out of class, I guess I just would say like I wouldn't go to class and like the next month like move to Colombia or move to Mexico or something, because like the summer months and even into the fall, like I did do a lot of in-person networking. And I did, I went to a lot of real estate networking and meetup groups. So there is like value in being in a local area and getting a local network and like I took your advice and took probably, I don't know, 15 lunches with bankers and people in my area, which was, and all that was valuable. So like, I wouldn't probably do this like full year round, like live somewhere where, I'm not going to like make a lot of network, connections here in Colombia, but for like, for a month, 2 months or something, it's not really, it's definitely doable and it's not really hurting my business at all.
I got to figure out how to get into that mindset, Joe. You know what I mean? I got to figure out how to go somewhere for 2 months and escape this 5-degree weather. I keep doing it wrong. I don't know. I keep talking to people and they're doing it, but I'm not doing it. Yeah.
I'll say it's easier without, if you don't have kids and no wife, no kids, it makes that part a lot easier. So that is easy for me.
Which I do have kids, but one of these days I'm just going to have a sign saying I moved to Colombia. See you later for a couple months. Everybody just has to deal with it. That's awesome. So you know what? Let me dig into, we like to ask a lot of times Just some questions, outside the box questions here, so people get to know you and get to kind of know you as a person. But I always like to ask these questions. So, what's one thing that, and coming from someone that had no experience and really grinded it out, and now it's starting to get the ball rolling and seeing success. What's one thing you hate about the business?
Um, that's tough. One thing. I would say, what is one thing that's really tough? I would say figuring out. I hear this from other grads too, but
Yeah.
it's figuring out, where to spend your time and the amount of time you're going to spend, that you're going to spend on things that are not going to close.
ROT,
That part.
return on time.
Yeah, exactly. And that part's tough. Like, it's tough to put in the hours and, like, to work so much with nothing to show for it. Like, that's a really tough part of this industry, where you're not getting like, if you work a 9 to 5 job, like, you could, you put in your hours, you're going to get, even if you're commission based, you might still get some kind of, something as a salary. But in this business, you don't, you're not going to get anything.
Right.
So I think that part is a tough part of, figuring out, where to spend your time, and when you spend a lot of time on something that doesn't close or something like that, that's probably a part of the industry that's the most challenging.
Which in the first year, it's extremely tough. I mean, that's one of the biggest hurdles, right? Because that can make or break your business, and you got to kind of figure that out. And, so yeah, all right. I feel you on that, man. That's definitely a big part of this business, figuring out where to spend your time. And we even talk about that in class, if you remember. I said that one of your biggest hurdles is ROT. What are you spending your time on? And is it going to give you the best chance of success? What's something that someone wouldn't normally know about you by just coming across you and meeting you?
That's a good one. Usually, I guess I mentioned it already, but I usually tell them that I'm type 1 diabetic. So that's it's usually just something that comes up either when I tell them about my traveling or something about me. But I got diagnosed right before I graduated from undergrad, from Syracuse, actually, not too far from you guys.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've been a type 1 diabetic for about 12 years now, which is something I just kind of learned to deal with, learn how to control it, how to handle everything. Yeah, that's
okay.
Like a fun fact.
Yeah. Okay. If you could hop into any type of profession, or any type of profession, could be anything in the world without going through the experience, but just boom, transplanting and doing something, what would it be?
If I could do anything, I would probably choose. I'd probably be a pro golfer. Join the PGA Tour. I mean, this is if I could actually,
Do you golf now?
I do golf. I used to golf more than I do now, but I still enjoy golfing a lot. And I would, if I was good enough, and I'd love to be on the tour and travel around to play all the events and get to play golf for a living. Not that everything, it's not just like you're going out and hacking every weekend. I know it's a serious job and they have to put a ton of work into that as well. But getting to play golf for a living sounds like a pretty nice life.
To me, that's one of those sports that I couldn't handle. And the reason I say I couldn't handle, because I'm not a golfer by no means. I mean, I know how to golf. I have golfed, and I'm not too good at it. But to me, what I always hated going to the golf course is, number one, I don't like conforming to people's rules. So, you got to tuck your shirt in. You got to, everything has to be like prim and proper. And I'm just not that way. But number two is when you tee off, you have all these people behind you, especially when it gets jammed up and they're watching you. And that I cannot stand, right? Because there's no worse feeling in the world when you slice a ball or you hook a ball. There was one time where I actually did a draw. There was all these people behind me, and they started to get backed up, and I took a swung and I missed the ball. And you know what I mean? And so that's just the worst feeling because everybody's looking at you going like, Jesus Christ, we got to be behind this guy the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
So
man. There's
I can't handle that, man. I not, you know, I've played sports, not golf, but
yeah.
that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
No, there's no greater pressure. One of the biggest pressure points in life is hitting that first tee shot when the whole, you know, the people are behind you watching. There's gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no more pressure, and you're usually, you know, you're cold, you know, coming in cold first swing of the day. That's a tough.
I even had a time one time. Here's the worst. I had a time when I actually, you know, I'm out there, and here's the thing. I looked the part. I had the ping clubs. I had the hat. I had the nice polo shirt, and it was tucked in. I had everything, right? So if you looked at me, you would have thought, Jesus Christ, this guy's a, you know, PGA, you know, ex PGA professional. And I looked the part, right? And then I got up there and there's like 5 guys behind me. Beautiful day. And I took that swing, and I have a hard swing. That is one thing at the advantage. I can drive pretty far if it goes straight, but and the freaking club came out of my hand. So in other words, I just swung and the club literally left my hand. And so the club went further than the ball. Does that make sense? And I was like, and there was no like feeling where I just wanted to like seep into the ground and, you know, disappear from everybody. Everybody going like, who the hell is this guy? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
If people ask me to go golf, I'm the first one to tee off, because if we go in a group, because I don't want people to get behind me. You know, I want to just tee off, and then if I screw up, nobody sees me. But what here's a question I always like to ask is, what, you know, if you could sit down and pick somebody's ear for 2 or 3 hours, somebody that's presently living or has passed on in the entire history of the earth, who would it be?
Yeah, this is a good one. I always like hearing people's answers for this. I couldn't think of anything like a really like you know, like some, I don't know, like a crazy thinker or something from the past that I thought might be good. So my choice was going with a casual answer with The Rock. Who I grew up, you know, The Rock. I always loved watching The Rock as a wrestler, and now he's like a world, you know, the #1 paid actor in Hollywood. I'm sure he has a million awesome stories. He's like super well connected, and he seems like such a cool guy to like sit down and have a beer with and just like, you know, shoot the shit with the type of guy like that. So I thought of kind of a more fun answer for that, and I think it would be a fun, you know, fun couple hours.
Cool. I don't think we ever had that answer before, The Rock. No, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Okay. Yeah, because people get deep, right? Martin Luther King, Jesus, you know, Thomas Jefferson, you know, and you just said The Rock. So that's, but equally as interesting. I would agree with that for sure.
Exactly.
Anything you want to ask me at all? It could be anything. I always give people the opportunity to ask me any question. It could be quirky. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. And it could be non-business, CCTG related.
Yeah, I think I wanted to ask, I know you've been doing this, this is a work related one. You've been doing the training for a while now. How much has it changed over, is it 10 years now or more than 10 years?
12 years.
12 years, yeah. So how much have you changed the curriculum or how you have to teach the class? And how much do you think you have to continue to adjust or have to keep changing it now that, just because, you know, how the industry changes and how, you know, just how kind of the business, this brokering world changes.
So how has it changed? It's changed for the better in the way we portray in the, I think the experience, it's obviously, if you look down like day one compared to now, it's changed the experience better. My way of teaching it, I think has enhanced, right? Just based on graduates' feedback too throughout the years. The curriculum hasn't really changed too much. I mean, sure, do things change? Like, for instance, SBA comes out with some new rules or changes, and we have to convey that to graduates and adjust our pitch a little bit. Yes. But the generalized format that you all went through hasn't really changed. curriculum changed maybe 10%, but the generalized format hasn't. But how has it evolved? I mean, you can see how it's evolved. I mean, I say this all the time, but I was an old school, and I still am, but I had to change because of COVID. So like, I used to say, you got to be here in person, and
Yeah.
in person is, still, I think, better than virtual, but virtual is pretty good. I mean, you went through it. So we had to change, right? We had to change. We had to bring on a whole nother dynamic to accommodate for virtual. And so we had to do those things so we can accommodate. But the generalized format hasn't changed too much. It hasn't. It's just it's gotten better by how we convey the information. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
And
that's
it
cool.
also, and I will say this, I think the one area, they really answer your question, the one area that we're looking to improve upon and incorporate more based on what we see out in the field is to put a little more emphasis on the sales aspect of this, like you said, getting on the phone. And so we're looking to incorporate more you know how to just to be a good salesperson. Not that you have, this is not like a used car salesman type job, but just how to interact with people better, how to get on a phone, how to follow up with a lead. We still teach it,
Mhm.
but we
Mhm.
want to do more of it because, obviously it's a big thing, and some graduates struggle with it, to be honest with you, and so we're
Yeah,
looking. Yeah.
no, I think that'd be great. I would have definitely, if it was extended to stay, to do either more training or to add on more days to do like a live, like, with real leads, or talk to, even do with makeup, makeup leads, like you could create your own kind of workshop to actually talk through, how a deal works, and talk to from the first call to the, following up call, all that stuff. Yeah, if you guys offered more, that I think that would be great. So that's
Yeah,
good, cool to
we're
hear.
always, we're always looking to improve upon the training, and that's one area that we're looking to do, and we kind of taken some
Yeah,
steps already. So good. Anything else?
yeah. I should have said it off the top, because I heard you talking about the virtual versus in person. I came back in September of 21 to do the in person. I did the week in Albany, which I just, so grads know that if they do one, like you get the option, it wasn't no extra cost to come in and to get the real in person experience was, I mean, so I've done virtual and in person to have a
Oh,
good
so
good.
yeah, and I honestly I forgot about that, but tell me about that. I mean, did you see a whole nother dynamic here?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. You get a more full experience when you're in person. You get to, there were a few lenders that actually came in that you get to meet in
Yeah,
person.
right.
But on top of that, just getting to meet the whole, meet your whole staff there, getting around, going around the office. And it's a little bit tougher. I mean, it was, you still learn the same material if you're online. It's a little bit tougher when you're sitting at home, for 8 hours a day and on the computer than when you're actually, in the building, getting a real, like, in-person experience. So
So
there's
was that
definitely a benefit to being
so you came? What month was that you came in person?
September, I believe
Was
September.
that when I was stuck in South Korea? Was
No, no,
that,
I
oh,
think that
okay.
was right after that. I
All right.
mean,
All
I think
right.
that was maybe the next month, because I heard about that.
You heard about that. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, because one class, interesting note, I got stuck on a business trip, and because I tested positive for COVID, I couldn't get out of the country, although I had no symptoms. And
Yeah.
so the best thing we had to do is we literally just replayed a video, because we record all our classes from the last month, until I got there like on Thursday. And so I ended up closing out the class, but yeah, so I just
Yeah.
didn't know if that was the class you were in. Okay, cool.
And I would recommend to go in person if you don't, for no other reason than to go to the dinner, the Saturday dinner, which was amazing.
Yeah. So you enjoyed the dinner. That's always a perk.
Yeah, that was great.
That's
Yeah,
always a
definitely.
perk. Well, awesome. Listen, Jeremy, I really appreciate, um, I really love this interview because it's real. I mean, it's not hype, it's real. And if anything, the takeaway is mindset. You got to have the mindset, you got to have the positive attitude, You work your ass off, but eventually you will start getting the ball rolling. And look at now we can get gimmicky, right? Look at you're in the mountains, you're in Colombia, you know what I mean? You're enjoying this business with the sunshine. So no, honestly, but I appreciate you taking the time to tell us about that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate you having me on, especially for someone that's just a year out of this. And I haven't, like I said, it's modest success, but it's but it's a good example of if you join a program or starting something like this, not everyone is going to be, making six-figure commission checks in that first year.
Right.
So I just think it's nice that's why I was happy that you guys had me on, just to kind of share my experience and stories of, some modest success, but, kind of building up to trying to become more and, get more deal flow.
And that's, you know what? And that's, I honestly, not there's a lot of companies like us, but we're the only company that's real. I'll just say it right now. We are. I mean, we show all different aspects. We got like you that are starting to have success, and you've grinded, people that are massive success, and then people that come right out of training. I mean, so we like to kind of show an even picture of what life is like and the different possibilities. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Really do appreciate it.
All right. Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this episode of Entrepreneurs in Finance. I'll say it again. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to download our CCTG app through the Android and iPhone store or the App Store. So you can catch all these latest interviews as they come out immediately. So without further ado, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's two words: hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.